The topic for today is going to be 5 lessons that I learned from my first 10K race. So I'm going to be taking you guys through some of those lessons that I learned, and some of these you may be able to relate to, and I'm going to relate them back to improving body composition on a lot of these. And of course, if you have any questions, drop those in the question comments or wherever. I'm going to be covering some questions after I get through today's topic. But 5 lessons from running my first 10K, kind of what it reminded me of or what it taught me or what I learned. And number 1 is going to be annoying over sexy. So we're starting things off, annoying versus over sexy when it comes to training. So my point here is when it comes to training, it's typically the annoying work consistently that leads to progress. It's not the sexy stuff, the social media, really good looking stuff that gets you there. And so I'll walk you through a couple of my points with this. And so what's going on, Greg? Appreciate you being here. What's up, Jezreel? Good day. Good all to you. So in terms of like annoying over sexy, that's just kind of what I'm learning. And I've been in I've been in multiple different sports. I played basketball, football. I was a thrower in track. I did crew in college. I co-founded the Rutgers powerlifting team, competed internationally there. I've won my pro card in natural bodybuilding, and what else? Jiu-jitsu I've dabbled in. So I've done a couple different modalities in terms, and I've gotten decent at some of them, not so decent at some, and the pickleball being one that I'm not so great at yet. But the kind of point here in terms of getting better at stuff, like there is something to, we got showers and growers. And so there's sometimes you want to show kind of what you've been working towards. You want to give your all out effort. Let's talk about running. It's what doesn't get you, what is not the meat and potatoes of what gets you better is not your sprinting a mile. It's all relative, but doing that super fast sprint where you're like super excited about your time and you're flexing that time, or running your fastest mile of all time. Those really aren't the runs that get you actually better. Those are the showing. That's kind of what you prep for, and then you really unleash it all at once. So what it is, it's not the super fast or the all-out performance race. It's not the sprints that actually get you better. In terms of, on the flip side, when it comes to the gym, it's not the 1-rep maxes in the gym that get you stronger and build that muscle. It's not when you lift 405 pounds on the bench press for one time. That's not what builds you. That is you showing your strength. That is you revealing it. That's kind of the showing part. And so in terms of running, what actually gets you better is the countless slow miles. And slow is also relative. It's the pace that you're able to go without raising your heart rate too heavily. For me, I'm 30 years old, so max heart rate is like 190. So that kind of slow pace that I would want to maintain is my heart rate being 140 to 150 beats per minute. You can still talk. You can say a whole paragraph. You have a full conversation. So it's pretty easy. And stacking up like those slow miles is really boring. And it's pretty annoying. But that's what's going to grow your endurance capabilities. It's not the sprints. It's not the other things. The meat and potatoes, the 80% or so, is these slow miles that get you actually better. So that's what's talking about in terms of like your running. Building up those unsexy slow miles that I would be embarrassed to tell you my pace. I'm going to tell you my pace right now. So my slow miles where my heart rate doesn't elevate too much, and I haven't really gone for too many like far runs while watching my heart rate, but like 9.5 minutes per mile, 9.5. And that's usually where I'm able to hang, 140, 150. It's pretty, for me, it's like I have to very much throttle myself, slow myself down to do that. It's not very fun. And I can't flex on, social media like, check out my 9.5 minute mile. But on the flip side, if I'm going all out, I think right now, if I went all out on a mile, I think I could probably do 6:15 to a 7-minute mile, like maybe 6:45 or so. My best all time was back in high school during football. I hit a 5:58. So we'll see if I can get back around there. But my point is, it's the annoying, slow, controlled miles that get you better. It's not those sprints. It's not the competitions. The 10K I just ran was me going about all out. And that's not really me getting better. That's me expressing what I've already accomplished, also getting used to a race day setting. Now let's move this into building muscle and strength. We said it's not the 1 rep max that you post on social media with heavy weight where you look super strong and you're flexing on the haters. It's more so what builds muscle and strength, not the expression of that strength, the 1 rep max, but more so it's going to be the many training sessions where you're having hard sets in the 8 to 15 rep range, close to failure. But often if you can bench 405, you're probably doing your rep work like 315. And 315 is very impressive, but 405 is super impressive. So you want to be showing that a lot on social media, but that's kind of you expressing your capabilities. What's building that muscle and doing the majority of things is that, 315 bench or so. Thank you so much for the tip, Greg. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. But also for this episode, somebody I think commented in the last one, he was like, why don't you have like tips or whatever set up? And I think there was just like a toggle thing. And so really appreciate it. You don't have to do it though. But more treats for the puppos. You and me, Neil, I'm going to get the treats. But back into the topic. So when it comes to building muscle and strength, it's those unsexy 8 to 15 rep sets where you're not using super heavy weights relative to your capabilities, but you're just stacking those up day over day, 4 or 5, sessions a week, 10 to 20 sets per muscle group for you to then maybe build all this muscle. And then you're going to peak that for strength. And then you can show that on a powerlifting meet or you show it at a bodybuilding show. But what's building you is this boring, annoying work that just takes time to stack up. And then what gives you a great physique is not the we can even say that training is flashy, but it's not the flashy, super hardcore training all the time. It's the annoying counting your calories, the subtle, like it's not the 9 out of 10 pain you feel. It's the consistent 2 out of 10 pain you feel from being in a mild deficit, being a little bit hungry throughout the day, tracking your annoying macros. But that's the work that actually gets, you to lose body fat and get the physique you want. It's not, it's not necessarily those 5 sessions that are going to get you that level of, leanness you're going for that you want to show. It is going to be that, more annoying tracking your macros. So that's kind of the first thing. So the first thing this kind of reminded me of was just like the training of getting ready for like a race that I had never prepared for and just learning this thing of getting better at running. It reminded me the way that you train in running is stacking up those boring miles. You do maybe 20% of your work, maybe one out of your 4 or 5 sessions a week is going to be a speed work day. But the meat and potatoes are going to be pretty slow, controlled, annoying miles that you're just going to have to stack up and throw a podcast on. The second thing that this race kind of taught me or reminded me was hard is relative. Hard is relative because for some people, running 1 mile is hard. So running 1 mile could be hard. For others, for runners out there, they're like, a 30-mile run is hard. My point here is that it's all kind of based on what we've already done. For me, on week 1, I'd say for me, on week 1, a 3-mile run was going to be pretty daunting. But after I trained for like 3 weeks doing a couple 1, 2 mile runs, now like a 3 doesn't really faze me. It's just relative to you doing the thing. That first time you walk a mile, it's very daunting. But then after you get that done, it's like, okay, been there, done that, done a couple times, now the 2. And it's just like kind of what becomes daunting is now something further. So for some people, they'll do, a 10K, then a half marathon, then a marathon, then they go for ultras, then they go for, some crazy, there's like 20-hour races and stuff. So there's a lot of pain you can find if you're really looking for it. But this just kind of reminds me that hard is relative and it's all based on kind of what we've already accustomed us to. And it's going to be domain specific. And so with hard being relative, it's also, you have 2 different things when it comes to running. There's 2 different goals. And this is what made running not daunting for me is there is survival. I completed a marathon or a 10K or whatever versus speed. That's where you're beating your time trials. You're going for a certain performance level. Speed can always be hard no matter, how far you go, but completionism, just going the distance, that can be, just survival. And the survival, you can bump that up over time. But also, speed is relative. It's all relative, especially when it comes to, strength training. If you've never trained before, that first, one session a week is tough. It's hard. It's daunting. For me, doing that for a long period of time, 7 days a week or double sessions now, those are getting more daunting. So with all that being said, things are not hard if you are prepared. That's kind of my general point here. If you are prepared for the thing that's daunting, the task, I've never run over 6 miles, but I felt prepared by like the preparation, the training, the tapering, all those things. It wasn't scary on game day. And it was just because the work was already done. Now let's express this. And then also let's manage our heart rate. Let's manage the pace and kind of be prepared. So the same thing is like, I would say, was that exam hard? And this kind of like puts it into perspective for me. Like back in school, in pharmacy school, was that exam hard? For some people, they'd say yes. For others, they say no. And usually people say it wasn't that hard. We're just more prepared. They studied longer. They had a better system for studying. So moving into the next thing. So 5 lessons from running my first 10K race. Also, if you guys haven't seen that video, we have the vlog that went up this morning of like the whole race day. And then also I have a short going over like my pacing throughout and kind of gets intimate. It's kind of the minute by minute. I just pulled my phone out and it was kind of giving my feelings and kind of my pacing. But I hit a 47:31 official. So I think I said 47:40, so 47 minutes 40. But based on my actual tag or whatever, when I crossed the start line, it was 47 minutes 30 seconds. So it's like a 7 minute 40-second pace per mile. Pretty happy about it though. Now, number 3, things are as difficult as you make them, or as easy as you make them. We can play these mind games with ourselves. And so I'm going to share with you guys the mind games that I play with myself to make, running less daunting for me, because I never expected to, pick that up as a hobby or a side quest kind of to do. And so the big thing that worked for me, oh crap, this is kind of like point number 4 too. So we're actually going to move point number 4 up because I already started talking about this. So make things less daunting by how you label them. And so the wavelength that I was getting on here is that I called these, because we're doing a step challenge in the Healthy Flex prescription. And so if I went out for a walk with me, Nicole, we do 2 laps to hit 2 miles. It takes us 30 or 40 minutes. And then jogging was just a way to expedite the steps. I was able to have the same 30-minute period, and instead of getting less than 2 miles done, I get 3 miles done in a 30-minute time frame. So I was like, all right, this is an easy way to get my steps up. So it's expedited steps rather than me thinking of it as running or maxing out. Because also I remember I heard somewhere someone said, I always hated running until I realized you don't have to go all out every time. You don't have to make it suck and be out of breath at the end of it. Like, you can run an easy pace. And an easy pace is relative to your abilities. So for me, it was, I'm trying to get steps in anyway. Let me just do them a little bit faster. And that kind of made it not daunting. And it was something that, now I'm kind of enjoying as like something different. And then, yeah, it's also, again, just how you label things. So another one is I work out for like 90 minutes. We'll say on average 90 minutes or 2 hours. So a 30-minute run, not so daunting anymore. So for me, I'm like, if I work out for 90 minutes and for me to get like a 5K done or 3 miles of training, it takes 30 minutes. I'm like, well, that's shorter than the time that I allocate to be in the gym in that kind of, suffering or pain. That like 30 minutes at an easy pace outside, listening to a podcast or a YouTube video, it just like made that way less of something that I was like, oh, to be feared. No, I'm just going to go out, get some quick steps, and I'm going to listen to a podcast, going to watch something, and we're going to be solid overall. And then for me, I was going to get the steps in anyway. I just do them faster now. And so for me as well, this race, So this race was double the distance I had ever run before, pretty much, before like April. So April, I did 4+ mile like jog. And before then, back in high school, I used to do these 3.5 mile loops. So me running over 6 miles, that was like way different for me, or very new. That's the most I've ever run kind of consecutively. And so that was different. And so for me, when me and Nicole, if we're out like walking, it's like we're already doing 2 or 3 laps, 2 miles, 3 miles. Like I can just do this a little bit faster. So when I broke it down in my mind, these kinds of things, just expedited steps, made it way less daunting than labeling it running or something that could be intimidating for people. So if you're somebody who, getting steps in is daunting or running is daunting, kind of find that label that makes it easy for you. I'm going to just go to the mailbox. It's not. And sometimes too, I would say this works with like a lot of people just trying to get your activity up. Let's say going and running 2 miles sounds tough. Sounds really crappy. If you're just doing it in a fitness routine, just want to get your exercise up, like, yeah, go run 2 miles. Or go play basketball for an hour. You probably will cover like 2 miles. If you go play basketball like intensely full court for like an hour or two. Or go play ultimate frisbee. You don't think of it as a like exercise necessarily or running 2 miles, but like look at your step tracker at the end of it. Same thing with soccer. I forgot there's an average like miles traveled in like a soccer game. I think it's like, I want to say 1.5 to like 5 miles or something. So you can really stack these things up when we're distracted and we're not thinking of these as like really daunting. Oh, I got to be, locked in trying to, exercise. When it's just a game, it's way less daunting to do and way easier. Number 4, now that was my number 3. Things are as difficult as you make them or as easy. So distance can be hard as you work that up, but also is running a mile hard? It depends on the pace. Depends. How fast am I running? If you can run a mile in, let's say, like 8 minutes, but someone says, "Hey, let's do a mile in like 12 minutes," that's not necessarily super hard for you because it's below your capabilities. Just like in training, in lifting weights, is 150 pounds hard to lift? Depends on what exercise. Depends how many reps, what exercise. So with all this being said, things are as difficult as you make them, or they can be as easy as you make them. So that comes to when you're training yourself to get better at things, be like you're prepping for a powerlifting meet, be that you're prepping for a race. You don't always have to go, super duper hard in terms of every single session. But intensity matters. So, and it's kind of domain specific. We learned with running, it's just getting easy miles in is the majority of training for running for distance. As far as, building a physique, you have a sufficient level of intensity. Each set has to be difficult, but it doesn't mean that you have to lift a ton of weight to make that happen. It's the reps you accumulate. So being in that 5 to 30 rep range. And then finally, number 5 is data makes things fun. So for me, I'm enjoying running just because I'm not good at it. So I get to make it rain PRs. So if you're tracking speeds, you have your 5K, 10K, mile, 800 meter, you got all the PRs to set. And so you can keep getting better. Imagine a video game. Imagine a video game where you can't level up. It would suck. No one would like that. If you can't PR, you can't hit new levels of strength. You can't hit, go from a bronze sword to like a diamond sword. Like, I'm not going to play that video game anymore. If I can't make my character better, like, what's the point? But arguably, we're in a simulation, but you can make your own avatar right now stronger. You can up-level certain skills. And so that is where I think data makes things really fun. So how can we bring this to training? Log your intake. Take progress photos. Take measurements. See new lows on the scale. So the more data you take, the more ways you're going to have to win. So when we want to, win overall, or you're picking up a new hobby, if you're picking up chess and you have an ELO, you have that ranking, you can see that get better. In my case, you see it go from the starting 400 down to 350. That can be a little frustrating. But when you see you have an objective thing where you're progressing at, it makes things fun. And that's kind of why video games are so addicting. Make running your video game. Get a new 800 meter high score, a mile high score. In training and lifting, new hack squat PR, leg extensions. You got all these different things to get better at. And so super fun ways to kind of change things up. So that's kind of what I want to talk about in terms of me going into my first 10K race. Learning the skill or the training methodology of running has been really interesting, and I'm really enjoying it. But also, I kind of had some lessons that I learned that I think also are present in a lot of other things, and just kind of being able to tether all these similarities together. So that's 5 lessons from running my first 10K race. 1, it's the annoying work rather than the sexy work that usually gets you where you want to go. 2, is hard is relative, especially based on our history and our experiences. 3, make things less daunting just by how you label them. Running, is it running or is it just expedited steps? 4, things are as difficult as you make them or as easy, because distance can be hard. But again, looking at your history, you can go rate of perceived exertion. You can go 6 or 7. You don't have to go 10 balls to the wall every single time. And then 5, data makes things fun. Take data for any hobby or anything you're trying to pick up. Have data on your side. Look at it from a bunch of perspectives to see when and how you're progressing. And that often makes things more fun. So thank you guys for listening this week. Hope you got some value from that topic.